All right, guys, welcome to the USL Insight, where we talk everything about the USL Championship. But in this video, it's going to be a little bit different because there is a major tournament happening right now in the United States, and that is Copa America. So I wanted to make a video highlighting what's been going on, especially with the teams in Concacaf who are competing in this tournament. US Soccer doesn't really want to help grow the game in this country, so I thought I would. But I could not pass up on this opportunity to talk about this tournament going on right now. And with that, why don't we get started? And the first country I want to talk about is the United States. US men's national team who came beating Bolivia 2-0. I mean, overall the performance was good. What really stood out obviously is Captain America, and he did an absolute beauty of a goal. I mean, there's no denying that goal was magnificent. The way he was able to curl it into the upper 90, that was beautiful. And especially when it happened so early in the game, if you were watching this game, you thought, oh, this is going to be a absolute annihilation of Bolivia, which, by the way, it should have been, because Bolivia is a terrible team. It is what it is, guys. This team is one of the worst in this competition, if not the worst. You obviously thought that this game was going to be a lot more goals, a lot more opportunities, and it could have been. It could have very well been, because Ricardo Pepe came on later on during the ending of the game, and he had clear chances to score. He had opportunities to score and to really seal this deal. I mean, it was. There's no hesitation that it was already, but just the overall scoreline could have been a lot bigger. Personally, I think it was important for him to be able to make those goals because, in my opinion, Balogun is not the guy. He's not the guy. I don't understand why the hype. He hasn't been, for the U.S. men's national team, he hasn't done anything to deserve being the guy. And so I would love to have him start off in the bench during this tournament, Balogun, because I want to see other guys shine. Other guys who, in my opinion, I think deserve it much more than he does. Pepe's one of those guys. And so I wish it didn't happen, but imagine if it did. Imagine if Ricardo Pepe scored. We would have been definitely having those conversations of, okay, who's going to be the next number 9? Also, something that was talked about a lot during social media was Weston McKennie. I mean, he looked overweight. It looked like he didn't want to be there either. So is this cause for concern? And that's another guy that I'm kind of like, this guy's overhyped in my opinion. Weston McKennie, I don't see. I mean, a lot of the goals that have come from other teams and other games have been because of his mistakes. And so that kind of just stuck with me. Like Weston McKennie, I've never really been on the hype train for him. And there's talks already within other YouTubers, other people online that said, it looked like he didn't even want to be here. It looked like he didn't want to compete. So I don't know, there's something going on there because of his club issue. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But for sure, he looked overweight. It looked like he was really enjoying his offseason and maybe forgot that there was a tournament, a huge tournament, right around the corner. So we shall see what happens with the U.S. men's national team going forward. We'll see if they're able to put everything to rest, because lately before this game, there has been a lot of talks that this team is just overhyped. These players, they have done nothing significantly. And I think that's easy to say because look at the record. It hasn't been all that impressive. So we shall see. This is supposed to be one of the greatest generations of U.S. soccer, and they haven't really done anything to prove it within the bigger stage. I mean, so we'll see how far they get and what they're able to accomplish in this Copa America. All right, guys, moving on, we have to talk about Mexico El Tri, and this game was against Jamaica. And the biggest news coming out of this was, I think, Edson Alvarez, his injury. During this recording, it hasn't been confirmed what he had, what kind of injury he has, but guys, it looked terrible, especially when it's a player just on his own. He's running. There was no contact or anything, and he goes down. That's how you know that this is a serious injury, that this is something that could be, I don't know, guys, career ending. I'm not sure. I don't have the details, but you feel for him 100%. This is a captain. Big tournament just started. There was an offer for Manchester United for him, and now you see this, and he was bawling, and rightfully so, because I think he thought of all of these things going through his head. I mean, what's going to happen? What is the future hold for me? And so it's absolutely gut-wrenching to see a player like this go down. I don't know, guys. It could be one of those things where, because of turf, and then they put the grass over it, was it an injury because of that? I mean, it's been said time and time that turf causes injuries to players, especially non-contact injuries. And so this is something that the United States, I feel like, has to work on, especially club soccer teams. I'm not a big fan of them playing on these fields because of that. Because great superstars who have come to this league, they have said, I'm not playing on any turf fields, and they won't play in these stadiums. It's something that, the league has to look at. MLS, USL, everything in between. So you already had Argentina's Argentina's goalkeeper also say that the conditions were terrible. The field was horrendous. And this is something that we have to think about because the World Cup is coming here too. So what is going to be done about this? Are they going to, because of this, change it later on? I mean, we shall see. But yeah, Mexico, they were able to beat Jamaica 1-0 and just barely, I guess you could say, because, I mean, we all know this is the worst Mexican national team probably in a very long time. There's no denying that. A lot of the guys on this team, even I don't know. People that I was watching the game with, even they don't know. So we know that they are changing things up. There's something new happening with El Tri. We shall see how far they're able to get during this tournament. And they versed Jamaica, who, by the way, has a USL goalkeeper because Andre Blake was injured and wasn't able to return to make it to the team. And so El Paso Locomotive should be absolutely happy for Jaleel White, who was, I think he had a great game. He made some great stops. Unfortunately, 1-0 was the score, but still, for a USL championship team goalkeeper to be playing in this tournament, I think that's something all of USL should be proud of. All of USL should be praising him because of what they were able to do, what that speaks about the league. And so it's only inspiring, and we shall see what other players are able to do in the future. But moving on, I think Mexico has a relatively easy group, so we shall see what they're able to do, what they're able to capitalize on, and how far they're able to make it in this tournament. Another team I want to talk about is Canada, and I don't have a Canada jersey, so I did the next best thing, and I grabbed a picture from the internet. But Canada competed against Argentina, the World Cup winners, so obviously there's going to be some nerves or something because, these guys are champions. These guys, we all know who they have, right? Messi. I think they played pretty well. They lost 2-0. And I think, if you see the scoreline, you're going to think, oh, okay, Canada, they didn't do much or anything like that. But I think they overall did pretty well. I think they were able to kind of hold it on their own. Going up against a team like that. And it's not like Canada doesn't have anybody. They have right now one of the greatest players in Concacaf, which is Alphonso Davies. And now I understand, right? It's one guy, but he's not relatively alone because he has Kyle Larin, Jonathan David, and a lot of veteran players who have competed in great leagues. So I would have liked to see them score at least one goal, but it didn't happen. And that could be right against, like I said, it's Argentina. They're one of the favorites considered to win this tournament. And then something else that kind of stood out was I'm not a fan of Jesse Marsch. I don't understand why the hype around him. And then the whole thing that he might be the U.S. men's national team coach. And people are like, oh yeah, he should get a shot, blah, blah. I'm like, why? Why give Jesse Marsch an opportunity? He hasn't done anything anywhere. There's nothing about his resume that sticks out that we should be hyping him up like he's the greatest thing ever in the U.S. soccer. He isn't. So, he gets hired at Canada, and he complains during the presser saying Argentina should be fined because they were about 5 minutes late. If it was them, that they would be fined, and because it's the champions, they're not going to get fined, which is absolutely ridiculous. Think that Canada preparing on how to tactically make their changes against Canada. That is ridiculous to think about. It makes him look even more. It makes me not like him even more. It makes me think, oh my gosh, this guy is like arrogant and he thinks he's the best in the world, and he's kind of making me feel right, like he is, like he thinks that truly about himself. So yeah, Canada I think is in a much more tougher group, and honestly guys, it'd be incredible to see if they make it out the group. But yeah, we shall see what happens. Anything can happen in these type of tournaments, so yeah, we'll see what happens. And then very quickly, I think it's incredible that we have to talk about how Costa Rica was able to tie with Brazil, and I'm not sure if we're supposed to give all the credit to Costa Rica or criticize Brazil because they weren't able to do anything. They weren't able to finish, and Costa Rica is very young group, or a very young team. And just the name of Brazil, we all know what Brazil throughout the history, right? And what they were able to do. So you have to give a lot of props to them, Costa Rica, because they were able to hold them off 0-0. And that's just incredible. That's going to be something that is going to be in the history books. And you may talk about it how you want, but they were able to do that. It's definitely a win for them. They're going to be on a high because of that. They were able to hold them off. So it kind of makes you think of the U.S. men's national team also going back to that, because they tied 1-1 after the brutal defeat of Colombia 5-1. So is Brazil really not what we think they are in this tournament? Are they really not the stars, the star team that we think of when we think of that name? Because if the U.S. men's national team, who is not playing the greatest against big clubs, was able to hold them off, and then Costa Rica was able to hold them off, it kind of makes you wonder where they're at. Like I said though, this is a huge win for Costa Rica, even though they didn't actually get the W. And then lastly, we have Panama, and Panama is tough because they lost to Uruguay, and now they're versing the U.S. men's national team. But we shall see. Panama and the U.S., they've had some great battles. It's no secret that they versed each other many times, and I think it's going to be a test for the U.S. men's national team. I think it's a game that I hope they don't kind of feel like, okay, we're going to easily win. This is a W for us, and then kind of start freaking out when things are not going their way. Panama's not a team to think less of, so I don't know. We'll see what happens with them. We'll see what happens with Panama. It's very short because I don't really know much about them, but if they're in Concacaf, and competing in this tournament, but that doesn't mean I don't have a jersey for them. I actually do. So this next game is going to be very important for them, and we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, like I said, guys, this video was a little bit different. I had to talk about the Copa America. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Are you hyped for the teams? Who are you rooting for? Is your team struggling? Are they doing bad? Please let me know in the comments, and give this video a like. It really helps me out. And don't worry, I'll be back to talking about USL Championship stuff. But like I said, guys, this video was going to be a little bit different. There's a major tournament happening in the US, and I have to talk about it. But don't worry, I'll be back to talking about USL Championship stuff. But yeah, please, guys, if you can, leave a comment, like this video, and I will see you all on the next one.